I have another issue with this issue with Justin. I'm just thinking like the situation is actually very hypocritical because look at it. Okay, you have white people in a building, right? And then they'll put on a mask trying to be like a black person that they're not, right? But then they'll go out to, I guess, uh, a certain group of people and they'll say, well, like, I'm pretending to be that like particular black person, right? But like, I don't really want that person in the vicinity, right? But then you're projecting out what that black person is to the world. Isn't that like hypocritical? I think that's really very very dysfunctional, don't you think? It actually doesn't make any sense because like it's still an illusion you're putting out, but then it's that lie that they project out saying that they don't need the other person. It takes you knowing who those people are for you to even put on a mask to pretend to be that person. So how can you go out and project to society saying that you don't need the actual person when in actuality you actually did need that person to exist? But then you're saying that how they exist doesn't matter. But that's even more hypocritical because you're trying to play out to be that person. So doesn't that just mean that you do need the people, like they are needed? Well, so I would say like the factor is the person being able to be in their own body. Yeah, that's the factor. Like a black person who's high vibes, having that ability to be in their own body. And if it's that way, then the person putting on the mask, they should be able to go and be in their own body too, right? And like, if you're masquerading and stuff, like, just come out and say it that way, right? Like I'm in California and stuff. Like, I seen other races of people insulting other races of people, and they like to reference off as like, oh, like you're a black person and you don't know who you are. So because you don't know who you are, you should go join the circus and join the clown show. But I mean, if you look at it from the other perspective, a person wearing a mask trying to be a black person isn't that a clown show? So there's like two versions of clown shows, right? There's like a black clown show, but then there's actually a white clown show too. I'm just saying. But you see how foolish the situation is? Okay, well, I guess there's supposed to be like a high vibing. Well, the white clown show is supposed to be more high vibing than the black clown show. What? Doesn't even make sense. Like they're both clown shows. Meaning that both they're just generally groups of people who just don't know themselves. Oh, I'm just saying. I just gotta put that thought out there. It's just because people always say, "Oh, look at that person! You need to go join the clown show." And I'm like, wait a minute, but that's a clown trying to call another person a clown. Nah, that can't work at all. They're both being fake. They're both lying. So what the hell? I'm just saying, Justin. It's kind of sickening, like what he did. It's kind of sickening. I'm being honest with you. We're talking about the entertainment industry. Like I remember from early '80s when Michael Jackson came out with Thriller and all those great videos and stuff. I mean, everything was based off of stories that were coming out of Africa, but it was the truth of Africa. And God was just using the vessel to tell the story. But Michael Jackson wasn't lying because he knew for a fact where his lineage lies. He knew where he was spiritually. He knew his connection with Africa spiritually. So was Michael Jackson in error? No, he wasn't. And his messages was for the collective, I mean for the whole universe, for the world. I don't accept the message that Justin put out because it's basically trying to tell people not to be themselves. That's not God. And he's not even like, okay, he was born in early 90s. Is this type of messages he's trying to put out for the kids that were born in the 2000s? If this is so, then this is bull. It's BS. That's not ascension. No, it's not. Like I had some kids born in the 2000s, and I remember like the petitions that were put out towards the generations born in the early 2000s. It was obviously more different than the children born in the 90s, right? The 90s, they had to do with Y2K and all those things, right? And 9/11 with the Twin Towers, right? The children born in the early 90s dealt with Y2K and then the issue with the Twin Towers in New York, you know? So that was the 90s issue. That's the era with Justin. You know what I mean? And I think, like, I don't really want to talk about Twin Towers, but I think a lot of those issues dealing with the twins, it had to do with illusions, but it had to do with, like, lessons out of just, like, not allowing, people to take advantage of other people, I guess. There's a lot of lessons that can come out of that, you know. I remember when 9/11 hit and the Twin Towers went down, I was, uh, I was sitting in history class and we were watching a documentary about it was about Istanbul. That's what we were watching, and then the what they actually did in my school, they actually set off the alarm, and then people turned on the television, and we actually got to see the Twin Towers go down. It was so scary. But I'm saying, like, those are the factors, the generation that people like Justin come from. The generation of kids that come out of 2000s, they come out of issues. It's like it's like karma from George Orwell's 1984. Like karma from Animal Farm and the Chrysalis. It's almost karma from the Twin Towers too. Just saying. You know? And like, Justin's a liar. He went online lying and saying how Selena Gomez is his twin. We well know that Justin does not share that type of spiritual inheritance. He doesn't have that type of twin connection. Twins deal with like people who you are actually dating in their past lives. Justin, you're a warmonger. There's no way you had a twin. You obviously putting out illusions back in the day. So there's no possible way you could have a biblical twin. Okay? Where were you 1800 AD, Justin? You obviously weren't with a twin. You didn't have a partner. It's clear because if you did, you wouldn't put out so much illusions trying to be me. So stop lying. And I know for a fact Justin's a liar because historically, right? If you check the history books back in the way back in the day, and they had like, um, okay, I'll just explain my culture. We came from, um, we're from the tribe of Judah, right? You know the story. The tribes were all scattered throughout the land, right? But it's like when you meet a Jew, like when a real Jew meets an actual Jew, like you just know, you get that, you have that intuition, or God just gives you that signal, like, yeah, that's your people. Nobody has to give you any type of explanation. It's just that connection that you just have. You know, Justin doesn't have that. Like he's just warmongering. That's a lot of proof that you're just not in. It was just like a lot of pipe dreaming and wishing. You know what I mean? But if he was true to who he claims himself to be, he wouldn't be shape shifting so much and running around the whole world acting like that and just spewing a whole bunch of mess. He wouldn't be doing that if he was a real person. Eh? I'm just. It's just because like Justin trying to compare himself to Michael Jackson, right? Michael Jackson traveled the world. Everywhere he went, everybody knew what Michael Jackson stood for. You know, it was literally about changing the world, feeding the poor, taking care of each other. You know, bringing light to dark places. You know, that's what he did, exposing war and stuff. Justin, what are you bringing to the table? The fact that you're just obsessed with one black Jew. That's me. That's what you brought to the table. Eh? I think that's madness, man. Oh, anyway, back to I was talking about I have children born in the early 2000s, right? It was a complete different era. It was literally like the things that our parents did from the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. It all made up to the early 2000s for this generation. So it was all about innovation. It was all about improving the situations. It's all about like really getting the work done, really tackling on like what was those like really hardcore societal factors. When I had my child, it was really bringing light to like the truth and the reality of what's really going on. And yes, it was in reference to the Bible, you know. And then like I'd say by uh, mid 2000s, you know, God really took up arguments like all the Gentiles and stuff. Like they started to get their salvation. You know, it started to become a beautiful thing when people start to understand their own truths and understand, their origins and where they really came from. And I'm talking about true Christian warriors, but like people like Justin, like those are like really old third world arguments that there's no actual resolution into solving those type of racism, you know. There isn't. You're just like it's like war blood. Like nobody wants that around. We used to call them like I used to have a friend and she used to call them pilgrims. And she used to call them she used to call them refugees, old third world pilgrims. You know, I guess the American term would be alien, right? Or refugee. They use the term refugee over here. But those people always had their own category. I remember in Canada that they brought a whole bunch of Syrian people over and Lebanese, and like people really got to experience like what it was to be around like real war torn people. People got to really feel it. They got to listen to their stories, and people used to bring pictures and videos of their family members and their house and how they all kind of really tragic stories, But it started to become a beautiful thing when they started to embrace the Most High, started to embrace Christianity. A lot of them converted to Catholicism and everything. People wanted to be safe. And there was a lot of people, like a lot of refugees and stuff, like once they come to realize that, okay, yeah, like I'm in a Christian country, like I have to be here to change my ways, you know? It's like God gave me the opportunity to be in a safe country. So let me be here to change my ways. I can't be practicing war. Hate. You gotta be practicing peace. Your agenda with me, Justin, is not serving anything but your greedy self. That's all it is. Greed. You ran a ritual on a black Jew because you're greedy. That's why you did that. That's trifling and messy and dysfunctional. And he actually thinks that that was his destiny. And oh, you think God instructed you to do that in this lifetime? You know he didn't. He just lies so much, man. Well, I'll tell you one thing: God doesn't tolerate, people, you know, being in and out the church like that. But I feel like Justin, he took it to extremes. Like, so a lot of people that come in the church then they'll backslide. But with him, he's like literally like an enemy walking in the church. And as soon as you come out, you're worshiping. It's like you're worshiping Satan while you're in the church. And as you walk out, you're still worshiping more Satan. You know what I mean? What a nonsense, man. I need these people away from me. People like Justin, go away. Go away. Yeah. God made the earth and everything in it. And everything is based off of DNA. Everything is based off inheritance, really. Your spell working is fake. It's not real. Eh? You try to do, oh, let me play the great magician. You're not playing magician, that's devil worship. There's a difference. I'm embarrassed for you, Justice. Still, I'm embarrassed. You know, the point is like, these people, they just like, the worst thing is having to deal with somebody who's pretending to be nice and then they come off to be like a wicked, wretched, vile enemy. You know, that's the issue. And you kind of suspect it in some people, you know what I mean? But like, he's just wretched. Like, you don't do that to people. And then you want to go, oh, I'm Jesus. You're not Jesus. You're not Jesus. Oh, I'm psychic. I have insights. There's a difference. And you consulting with necromancers, like devils and stuff, that's not God. That was demons, entities, demonic things. There's a difference, you know? But the point is that, like, everybody has a spirit. It all depends on, you know, who you're serving. But at the end of the day, you can't profess to be God when you're serving Satan. You use Satan to do wickedness and to inflict me with harm, all because you're jealous of my high vibrations. You know what, Justin? I don't accept. There's some things that I have to get out of my chest. When I accepted the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, this was in. I always believed in God, but I'm talking about when I really decided to take up Christianity. It was in 2013, and those are the times when I started to have like real encounters with the Most High, when God was really showing me the truth. God was showing me everything about life, you know. And God was showing me this is the rib, that this is the man that you came from. God showed me my Adam. And he showed me he showed me everything. He showed me he was like a Hungarian, Algerian, Mexican, white, black man. Oh, Slavic, Greek, Hispanic man. Like that's who my Adam is. But he's white. He's white and he's bald and he looks like Mr. Clean. And you look at me like I'm a dark skinned black female. And I know for a fact my Adam, he just couldn't accept the fact that his Eve was a black woman. He couldn't accept that. You understand me? But the point is that if that's his own biblical truth, he didn't accept. Yeah, it did cause me to suffer, but God still carried me through. You understand me? It's that social factor of just being black. But my point is, Justin, is you, based on my Adam and Eve story, is you trying to play as if like you have some type of significance involved in it. You're part of that collective that was trying to inflict harm on me because my Adam didn't accept me, and that's where you're wrong. You can't play Bible like that in my life. That's my own personal, intimate Christian experience, and that was between me and my Adam and the Most High, and my twin too. My twin has something to do with it too. Once the original people who are a part of the original bloodline, they had a past life, and based on your past life, it all comes down to if you had a mate or not. This is what comes to, genetically, genetics. Why, who we connected with genetically, and how our bloodlines connected genetically. The point is, Justin, you're a liar. Like, there's something in your head where I think you thought that I may have been connected to you in some kind of way. How? That I want to hear. If that's what your belief system is, the reason why you do ritual I'm gonna shit for, I need to hear why and how. I know my ancestors, they used to work in the military. I know that for a fact. And that's the only logical explanation that I can pretty much think of in terms of how someone like you may have been had some connection through a military connection, because that's what Israel, back in Israel, that's what it was before America was a country, and Canada too, and a lot of Caribbean countries all over the world. You understand me? That's the only explanation I can come up with right now. But the point is that you don't serve relevance in my everyday daily life. You don't help the collective of black people like me who have the body, this body, my black body. You don't help the collective. You trying to steal from me, from my body, you're in violation with the Most High. There's something that you're not supposed to do. It's something that you are doing that is completely wrong. Whoever you are married to, and that's supposed to be your focus first. If you needed something, you go to the partner that you chose first. You don't go around looking around for an unsuspected single woman to go and abuse and harm and treat like shit, because that's what you did. You've been treating me like shit, Justin, for no apparent reason. When I was in Canada, there's another reason why I don't accept Justin, because, yes, every black person has to experience racism. That's just what it is. There's people in this life who just don't accept black people because, based on, all kind of factors, societal factors, poverty factors, and, a lot of black people, they went through a lot of hardships back in the day. That's the reason why a lot of black people, they don't accept some black people. But then there are, I don't want to talk too much, but the point is that I have experienced racism. Everyone did when I was in Canada. But then I still grew up in an environment that included diversity, inclusion. I grew up in environments where racism existed, but we still existed. There were still people around that hated black people because they didn't understand black people. But we still had that ability